Okay, so now that you guys saw the 4-link in the last video, we can keep chugging right along. So I reached out to Firepunk. I dealt with Lynn over there to get the lightweight hubs and lightweight TBM brakes. These are not recommended for street use, but we're gonna give it a shot regardless. So what I have before me is the kit that Firepunk provides. They machine the hubs, and basically they take a bunch of cobbled up stuff that individual retailers sell and package it as a kit, complete with all the shims and everything else. So again, Firepunk's helped us before, and they're a great source to turn to for trying to go fast in any kind of Dodge truck. So here is the kit that I got. Now I have separated it a little bit. We have basically each side. The way Firepunk sent me these hubs, the seal is already installed for your hub seal, the lower bearing or inner bearing, and then they give you a brand new outer bearing. All new hardware, grade 8 with Nord locks. And then this is our TBM rotor here and our TBM caliper here. So just to sort through any confusion, you're going to get 4 identical rotors, 4 sets of identical pads, and you're going to get 4 identical calipers. So all 4 corners have the same caliper, all 4 corners have the same rotor, all 4 corners have the same brake pads. The only difference is how the calipers mount. So on the rear here, you need to take your entire factory brake assembly off like we've done. Normally there's a backing plate with parking brake shoes and all that. You take all that off, you take your factory hub off, and you're left with the stub shaft. And these are the caliper brackets over here. I haven't figured out which side's which yet, but I'm assuming it'll be very, very easy to figure out. Shout out to Chance McKelvey out there in Arizona for helping me out. And then here are our brake pads. These are TBM, I believe. So again, not for street use at all. I'm hoping, my goal really with this was to weigh a little less and throw sparks on the dyno. That's really, if I'm being honest with myself, is why I did it. So according to Firepunk, you're talking about a 40-pound weight difference on between all 4 corners. So 160 pounds of unsprung weight. Now what that means is unsprung weight, or rotational weight, is huge. So even though it's only 160 pounds, it's going to make a huge difference. Apparently you can like put the tire on and with the truck on the lift, spin the tire, go to the bathroom, come back, and it still spins. So these do not drag at all. But again, these are not meant for street trucks. But this is where we're at. I figured I'd start on these brakes and then ask Firepunk to make me the lines. Once I get the brakes mounted, I can get like a measure. And my thought was I'm just going to drill just a little tiny hole here and have a bracket for the brake line. And I'm utilizing the factory rear brake line that follows the frame here and goes to the junction block right there. From the junction block, I'm going to do flexible line from that point to this. And then I'm also going to do flexible from that point over to here. Now, some of you guys might kind of cringe at that. I could do hard line, but I feel like the soft line is just going to look better. And my plan is, again, to just kind of drill a couple of little holes for some hold downs to secure it. And the big thing with brake lines is you just don't want them to be able to rub on anything. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Lots of red Loctite, and I'm assuming a lot of trial and error. But again, Chance McKelvey sent me some pictures, so big thank you to him. Also, while we're working on the rear end, we're going to tackle the new rear diff cover I got and put our Menskers on as well. Okay, ran into a little snag with the hub bolts for the rear, so we have moved on to 4-link, tightening everything up, putting our longer bolts that Cody got us, and getting all of our threads on our Heims WD-40, getting the last little bit of paint off. As you guys can see, we got our brand new CCI driveline thrown in there. Still got to paint the rear portion of it there, but it is in. We had to go a little shorter because of how much lower the truck is. And we have the rear end kind of set back up a little bit to allow us to put our drive shaft in. And I have it ratchet strapped. I'm also going to do the coilovers tonight. And then we got a little surprise from the guys over at Dirty Hooker Diesel. They got us set up. Now that I think about it, I really should not have Loctited that drive shaft in either. But either way, I'm going to get you guys set up on a little time lapse on what it took to do this side on the other side. And hopefully you guys enjoy. Okay, so you guys saw that painful time lapse, cleaning the threads, WD-40 in it, putting our new bolts in. Yeah, I just wanted to take my time. I think it looks sick with like the gold grade 8 coated bolts, the polished ends. That was really the plan all along. Now we're going to move on to the rear coilovers. I'm still going to leave the axle strapped. That's what Cody recommended. So I have it strapped up. We have these billet aluminum ends here, that mount on the adjustable bars right there. And then we have our Menskers over there. In all reality, I really did want a black coil, but due to time constraints and everything else, unfortunately, this is what we are stuck with. So no fault of Cody's. I was the one that was impatient, but they are a dual adjustable Mensker coilover, kind of similar to what David had on his truck. You guys can see here that, I mean, they look pretty sick, but I don't know, an all black spring would have, I feel like, looked better, but it definitely is going to stand out. So we have that going for us. I'm really not too sure on how these orient either, so I'm going to have to ask Cody on that. Not too sure. I would assume that, I don't know. I guess I'm not going to assume. I'm going to make a phone call and then I'll get you guys set up on the old time lapse here of throwing these in. Should look sick. And after a bunch of struggling, I got them in. Turns out the coilovers go a lot easier if you lift them up and drop them into their billet cradles. But they look freaking killer. This thing's really coming together. And I'm just a big fan. I mean, this thing looks freaking sick. Can't wait to put the wheels on, drop it at ride height. Like I said, we're just waiting on some bolts. You know, it happens to the best of us. Lynn over at Fire Punk got them sent out super quick. So I'm gonna throw the grease zerks into my anti-roll bar, grease it real quick, and then we're gonna move on to our special surprise here. I really appreciate the guys for doing this, and let's get it thrown in. And there she is, folks. My DHD AAM 11.5 diff cover. These are limited edition. They fit your Duramax and your Rams. I believe it holds an extra quart. It's flat back, so Gale Banks is 100% ready for you. And we got our Menskers on, all the bolts tight, our 4-link tight, threads cleaned. We have our grease zerks in, greased, and now we're just waiting on these bolts. They should be here tomorrow. We'll get our brakes thrown on and probably call this video a wrap. And I can't say enough good about Dirty Hooker. They have helped me out over the last few years, really. Sled pulling stuff. I run their suspension stops up until this 4-link. I've gotten sled stops from them. I have gotten a lot of drive scatter shields from them, and just odds and ends stuff. Especially if you have a Duramax, they have everything you need to go sled pulling. And then now they also make these aluminum drive shaft shields for your Dodge Rams. This was only this was, I think, the first one they ever made out of aluminum. And now it doesn't fit with my 4-link. So being the great group of guys over there, they are going to swap me out for a shorter one that fits with my 4-link. So this one will be available here in a minute. You just drill through the webbing. It's aluminum. It's about 10 pounds lighter than my steel one. I'm a big fan. And as you can see, when a drive shaft goes boom, you want one of these. Keeps everyone safer, the crowd, the truck, yourself. So guys, we're gonna call it a night. I know I've already upset Gale Banks tonight with my flat back diff cover, Super Luber 9000 here, but whew, what a great night. Just nuts, bolts, adding some color. We got not polished, but aluminum drive shaft. All of our Heims are cleaned up. We got our Menskers. This thing's just really coming together. Picking up, new day. We have got our bolts here. I have not Loctited these, nor have I torqued them. My thought process was I'm not sure which way the rotor is going to orient. I went the way that Chance McKelvey showed me on his truck, the way he did it. Not sure if it's going to work on ours. So for right now, this is how it's going to be. And now that we have the rotor fixated to the hub, which, if you are curious, it kind of centers on itself there. And these bolts just barely contact all the thread. I really like the way they are, and they're flanged head, which I think is nice. I scuffed the rotor up with 80 grit sandpaper like the instructions said. Now we're going to go ahead and slide this hub on. My only trick to you guys is take some gear oil, rub it on this seal here, and then also rub some gear oil right here on this part of your axle where the seal rides. It prevents you from cutting it. Then we're going to go ahead, and big thanks to Nick Bell, he screenshotted a Mopar software wheel bearing torque spec. I couldn't find it, and Nick's kind of my go-to on that kind of stuff, so he got it to us, and we'll get the wheel bearing torqued, preloaded, then back it off and get it set up correctly. So that's the procedure we're going to do right now. Once that is done, we'll probably try to see how this caliper is going to fit. I'm not too sure on the bracket orientation, so over this time lapse, you're probably going to see a lot of things coming off and on and off and on. Just know I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm learning this just like you guys are watching. If I'm being honest, this has got to be the most frustrating thing ever. So if you guys look right here, this bracket doesn't actually lay flat on this freaking caliper. Like, when I tell you I've probably gone back and forth a half hour, like, what? So unfortunately, you guys are just gonna have to look at this and imagine that this worked. So I just want to reiterate, Firepunk does not make this rear brake kit. They sell IMS's kit, Innovative Machining Solutions. They provide the TBM brakes for it. They do not provide the bracket, nor do they provide the hub. Now, the hub is fine, the rotor's fine, the pads are correct, the caliper is correct. This bracket here is not correct. No matter how I flip-flopped it, I mean, you guys watched on the time lapse. I played around with it. It does not work. Now, on the front caliper bracket, Firepunk actually makes that bracket themselves to ensure that this doesn't happen. But after talking to Lynn, and I just want to reiterate, I'm putting this on at 7 o'clock at night. Firepunk's been closed for 2 hours. Lynn still finds time on Facebook Messenger to go back and forth. What he has determined is we got sent a Willwood caliper bracket and not a TBM caliper bracket. So that is why I'm going to do my best to try and hold all this. But you guys will see here, if you watch, the rotor kisses this part right here. So I need the caliper to move out about, it's about an eighth, maybe 3/16 of an inch, and everything would bolt on. I hate to end this video early, but I am going on a little 1 week trip with my family. So this is how I'm gonna have to leave it. I'm gonna back this wheel bearing off. I'm gonna saran wrap up the axles. I'm gonna put everything back in the box, and hopefully Lynn can get the guy over at IMS to get us a new bracket set. It looks like the front is gonna work. It's just the back that we're having issues with. So You know, in this video, we got the drive shaft thrown in, got our 4-link, like finished, so to speak, with the paint and cleaning the threads, getting everything tight. We got our awesome Dirty Hooker Diesel diff cover on, our Mensker dual adjustable coilovers on, and I was able to measure for brake lines, so I guess there's that. But unfortunately, this is where I leave you. And this is the part of racing that sucks. I talked to Lynn. You know, they sell 2-3 of these kits a year, and every kit's a little different. You know, it is what it is. Like, as mad as I want to get about it because it doesn't fit, my anger is misplaced because, again, we have customers that we sell parts to that aren't our brand. They're a name brand and they don't fit, and they get angry, and I get it. Like, this stuff's frustrating. You spend top dollar for this stuff and it doesn't always fit. And the problem is you're dealing with such a small batch of parts now that it just takes a while. So hopefully this doesn't hold us up for long. When I get back, we will tackle the front brakes and get the front brakes, the hubs, ball joints, steering all refreshed, and we should be able to bolt our wheels on the front, get our brake lines measured. We also have some awesome stuff from Keaton Samples over at Samples. I think it's Performance Fabrication or Precision Fabrication, but I got an ABS delete kit we got to still do. So give this one a big thumbs up. Like I said, no hate towards anybody at Firepunk. You know, I've been going back and forth with them. Oh well, we missed some bolts, no big deal. They got them sent out. This bracket, again, not their fault. They'll get it fixed as soon as they can. And drop your comment down below. Subscribe if you're not already. And as always, guys, I'll catch y'all on the next one.